Thursday, the 14th of August, 2025. And my goodness, yesterday was such a busy day, so I didn't get to do a video. Also, some range time in there, which was fun to renew my membership and a whole bunch of other things. But anyways, a lot of information that's being shared just within the last 24, 48 hours. I'm glad that it's finally reaching more mainstream accounts like Mario and News Updates for Real, John, Candace Owens, Ian Carroll. All these people are sharing incredible work now, and respectfully, these are these are data points that I have been sharing. Again, this is not a brag at all, but for years, for literally years. I'm talking about the blood plasma donations. I'm talking about Aladdin. I'm talking about Blackrock. So many different things that I can speak on, and which is why I also went on Rumble, because after I doxed myself during the Freedom Convoy era, I started making more and more what people would consider to be controversial videos, and it wasn't to cause division or any of that stuff. It was literally just to get information out on the record, because it's very important information that people should know. And so I'm going to share a few videos first before I get into some videos that I was able to share on Rumble. And again, I want to reiterate, I started on YouTube. I've had so many accounts deleted. I have so many videos on the record, even from years ago, saying such. And then even my LinkedIn accounts, other social media platforms getting deplatformed because of sharing these very same topics, very important topics. And so I'll just get into Mario. And so I shared this yesterday. And so I said, I've done videos on this. Again, this is not a brag. It's so people can take a look at my videos, look at my content, and, extrapolate information from there. Plasma and blood sold to Big Pharma to use as treatments. A huge percentage of our donations, by the way. That was just my comment to him. And so here's Mario talking about this.
Have you guys ever donated blood to the Canadian Blood Services? Well, I was today years old when I found out that the Canadian Blood Services here is using your Canadian donated blood to be utilized by this company that then resells it for a profit. This might honestly be one of the biggest scandals of the year. Free and donated Canadian blood, scratch that, it's plasma, is being resold for a profit. You get nothing. In fact, members of Parliament of the Conservative Party just wrote a scathing letter, and it gets better. It says that the Globe and Mail reported exactly what I just showed you, and despite a 2022 pledge from the Canadian Blood Services that plasma collected from Canadians would be sold offshore. That pledge was made by the CEO back in 2022. And this is where it gets interesting. Equally as troubling is the fact that Brookfield Asset Management has been working to acquire that company, Grifols, for over the past year. Brookfield made a multi-billion-dollar takeover bid for the company in late 2024 and was again to be reported in contact with shareholders regarding an acquisition in April 2025. Even if no acquisition has been made to date, this pattern signals Brookfield's ongoing desire to take control of a firm profiting from Canadian blood donations. Given Mark Carney's significant personal investments in Brookfield, we are further concerned about the Prime Minister's potential conflict of interest in this matter. And for those who don't know, Mark Carney has over $6.8 million in options in Brookfield alone. We don't even know how many shares he had before that or what other compensations he's had before those options. If I could estimate, it's easily in the 8 figures. And rightfully so, they said this raises 2 important questions. Why are foreign corporations such as Grifols profiting off of blood plasma donated by Canadians without their knowledge? And what would Mark Carney's financial gain be if Brookfield acquired Grifols, given the company has worked to take control of a firm that profits from Canadian plasma? And they urged to recall the Standing Committee of Health to investigate this, and Canadians expect their donated plasma to save lives in Canada and not be turned into profits for foreign companies or for the Prime Minister. And these are all the members of Parliament that signed this letter. If you are equally as disturbed and troubled by this, please email your Liberal Member of Parliament. All you have to do is Google their name and send them an email, say you're a constituent within their riding, and if the Liberals support this, you will no longer support them going forward. They need to know that Canadians will not stand for this, and we need the Liberal Party to take immediate action. Everyone, please do this. This is not right, and it's not okay. Give me 30 seconds.
Yeah, so that's Mario saying that he's today years old when he found this out. Again, this is not like, oh, look at me. I've been talking about this for years. thinking I'm better than everyone else. I don't. I'm an analyst. I have been for 20 plus years of my friggin' life. And so information I'm sharing, like it was just this is information that I wanted to talk to people within cabinet about, the House of Commons, and experts that they hire, including people that I was working with, with the highest levels of government, multiple different organizations. They did not want to hear any of the information that I had to share, and it's their loss, Canada's loss, respectfully. And so this is from over 2 years ago, because this is when I was an analyst. So this is 2023 or earlier.
Welcome to the wonderful world of blood donation. Around the world, giving blood is seen as a symbol of generosity, one of the noblest acts in modern society. But the reality is different altogether.
Healthcare is the perfect money-making industry. Our willingness to pay for available therapies, basically, especially for our loved ones, knows no bounds.
At the heart of this business, plasma, a yellow liquid rich in proteins. It's the main component of blood. It's more expensive than oil.
C'est l'exploitation de l'homme par l'homme. Le terme qui est utilisé par certains, c'est le nouveau cannibalisme. Est-ce qu'on accepte au prix d'un marchandage ce système qui permet à un individu riche de profiter du pauvre?
I'm like a cow. I'm giving you abomination.
It almost killed me, so I don't want to do that no more.
No, it exists.
We decided to explore a little-known area within the health industry, the blood trade. Our investigation took us to France, Germany, and the U.S.
They don't like us to interview their donors.
Yeah, man, you know why? They doing something they ain't doing right. They need to stop. Public want to know.
Today, Carlos is donating blood. Despite his busy job, he's a regular blood donor at the Red Cross Center in Lausanne. Carlos sees his act as a sign of commitment to the community. More than 100 million donations are collected each year worldwide. In 2015, the Swiss Red Cross registered 311,000 donations. The figure diminishes each year, and they're constantly seeking new donors. Their message is clear: giving blood saves lives.
C'est important pour moi de venir parce que je sais que je peux aider des malades.
Je trouve que c'est quand même quelque chose de beau de pouvoir donner quelque chose, en tout cas qui est une partie de soi-même.
Blood is a quite peculiar juice, said Faust's devil with glee, but he's not the only one to be interested. Health is also an industry, and blood donations are subject to the laws of the market.
Voilà, ça coule bien.
Oui, volontiers.
Before giving blood, these Swiss donors must complete a medical questionnaire and give their informed consent. In particular, there is one line at the end of the form, a sentence in small letters. I am aware that some components of my donation may be used for the production of drugs. Only a few donors read this line, though it's crucial. In reality, most of the donated blood is sold to private companies, something the Red Cross doesn't advertise.
Of course not.
Wir erhalten etwa 320.000 Blutspenden pro Jahr. Das sind Vollblutspenden, das heißt, in diesen Blutspenden sind natürlich alle Bestandteile drin. Auch
These are full donations that contain all the blood components, including plasma. So it's not just plasma. I've said this before in so many different friggin' videos, even before this one. And it's not to take away from blood donations because they are needed. The last I checked, it again, I could be off, but it was like 80% of the blood that we donate actually goes and gets sold, plasma and blood, for medical, pharmaceutical, they're calling it medicines and treatments and things like that. And so only about 20% actually getting donated to people who actually need it. And my grandfather was a significant blood donor. He was O negative. Throughout his entire life, he donated so much blood. And I have donated blood multiple times as well in my life, including in 2022 on my birthday, because around that time, again, it's the holiday season. More people need to have blood transfusions during these times, a higher percentage of accidents, etc., around Christmas time. And people were looking for unvaccinated blood. And so I was willing to donate. And despite the fact that I was still getting oppressed by my own fucking, country. And but even then, I did videos, and I'm like, I know where most of my blood is going, and but damned if you do, damned if you don't, right?
Das Plasma.
Okay, und was machen Sie mit Blutplasma?
So what do you do with this plasma?
Im Gegensatz zu den anderen Blutbestandteilen
Unlike the other blood components, only 20% of the plasma is used directly in the hospitals.
ist es beim Plasma so, dass nur etwa 20% dieser Menge direkt in den Spitälern gebraucht werden.
This 20% is used for patients who have lost great quantities of blood and need transfusions.
Gebraucht heißt für Patienten, die einen großen Blutverlust haben und dieses Volumen ersetzt halten müssen. Der restliche Anteil,
the remaining 80% is used by the plasma fractionation industry, which produces drugs derived from blood. So I was right. So again, because it's been a few years since I've posted this video, I can't remember all details, but I do remember that it was very significant, and I was right about it being 80%. Ladies and gentlemen, we are getting so scammed. Even the most noble of causes has been infected by parasites, poisoning the goddamn well.
Sind fast 80%, geht in die sogenannte Fraktionierindustrie. Das sind Firmen, die daraus stabile Blutprodukte und Medikamente herstellen.
The plasma fractionation industry. These are the pharmaceutical companies that buy 80,000 liters of plasma from the Red Cross each year. The humanitarian institution makes nearly 10 million Swiss francs from this sale. Are the donors aware of it?
The humanitarian aid institution's aware of this as well.
Qu'est-ce que vous savez sur ce que va devenir?
Okay, so to someone that's donating blood, do you know what will happen to the blood you've donated?
Le sang que vous venez de donner.
Bien, je dois dire que je suis plutôt innocent.
And he says, I must admit, I'm rather naive in this regard. I haven't really looked into this kind of thing. A lot of people don't.
Par rapport à ça, je me renseigne.
Just like the COVID vaccine. Not even a vaccine, but anyway.
Pas énormément par rapport à ce genre de choses. Quand j'entends le mot
when I hear the term blood donation, I associate it with my giving blood.
Don du sang, eh bien, c'est le fait que je vais donner de mon sang. Et puis après,
well, I'm just hoping that my blood will be used in the hospitals not too far from home.
Ce sang va devenir, eh bien, j'ose espérer qu'il soit utilisé dans les hôpitaux qui sont pas très loin de chez nous. Donc, c'est un peu l'image que j'aime.
This is the kind of innocent image I have of blood donating.
Moi, du don du sang. C'est une image un peu innocente.
First discovery, the majority of the donor's blood is sold to pharmaceutical industries. The industry is so interested in Carlos's blood for a specific reason. Its liquid part, called plasma, contains sought-after proteins. They are used to make very expensive and profitable drugs. Who are the players behind this industry? We decided to track the plasma trade.
Welcome. So if anyone knows Mario for the North, or even if you don't, I would like it if you shared my video of this. This is from over 2 years ago. 20 views. 20 views.
The CSL plasma. Typically, 57% of our blood volume is made up of plasma. Plasma is a straw-colored liquid portion of the whole blood that transports water and nutrients to all cells in the body. It is composed of approximately 90% water and 10% protein.
The plasma industry is huge, and a handful of companies share the world market. Baxter in the USA, CSL Behring in Australia, Girfols in Spain, and the company Octapharma in Switzerland, which we discover through these promotional films.
Octapharma's raw material is produced by the perfect bioreactor, developed over millions of years of evolution, the human body.
For these companies, plasma is nothing but a raw material, and very lucrative too. The professional term is fractionation, the name of the procedure that transforms donors' plasma into drugs. To do this, they collect, freeze, and mix thousands of liters of human plasma. These companies control a market which is worth $17 billion and growing steadily.
All right, I'm back. Okay, so that's one.
Not too much.
All right, I'm going to stop sharing. Sorry, I just moved for a minute. All right, and so I already shared what Mario sent about that, but it's a lot bigger. Not just Griffles either, but I'm glad that that is being shared. Oh, that's just my doggies. Okay, so there's a Dean Bundle. What the fuck? Didn't have any idea who that guy was until he blocked me. And I have a Chippewick or Chippyuk. She was having a bit of a spat with him. So I wanted to take a look at who he was, and I was like, oh, this guy blocked me? I don't even know who this guy is. And then I looked a little bit of his content on X. This guy is a fucking brainwashed moron. Moron. All right. So moron Blackrock because of that connection.
That's it.
Oh, yes, and I'm not going to be doing the Rumble Content Creator Program after this month. And it's for my own reasons, because they're asking me to advertise and read out like different ad campaigns and stuff like that, and have to rely on getting at least 20 unique chatters a month on my Rumble account, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to sell out by selling campaigns or selling advertisements of things that I don't support or agree with. Excuse me, and that's been my options. And yeah, so I'm going to do it when I want to do it and how I want to do it, just like I've been doing forever. And yeah, it's not like I'm making money anything off the Rumble Content Creator Program anyways. And so anyways, this is Ian Carroll, BlackRock versus, the Rothschilds, the corporate government, the big club you're not in, which includes me and you.
This is where we kind of crush the typical BlackRock conspiracy theories that you've probably seen all over YouTube and Reddit and wherever else. This is where the finance bros are all screaming that BlackRock doesn't actually own the shares, and that's kind of correct. But let's start.
Oh, I didn't want to share that one first. Sorry about that. I wanted to have like a flow. So Moose on the Loose. I would like people to possibly share that video I just shared from my Rumble account to Moose on the Loose as well, because he's also talking about it. And he just posted this 16 hours ago.
Did or not. She tried to convince me the whole time that this was going to happen, whether we liked it or not.
Sometimes the stuff that comes up, I can't even believe it. And that's what we got here today. Welcome back to Moose and Loose. My name's David. Today, we've got the canola industry getting hammered. Scott Moe calling out the Carney government for offering no support to a massive sector of Canada's economy. Not only that, we've got breaking news that Brookfield, the company Mark Carney used to chair and heavily invested in, it's been found that they're trying to do a buyout and profit off of Canadian blood donations. Yeah, I'm just as shocked as you. Let's jump into this. Got this one from Pierre Poilievre. The EU is sending the US $750 billion for 3 years of natural gas. The missed opportunities are piling up because Prime Minister Carney's liberal anti-energy laws get shovels in the ground with big projects and deliver bigger paychecks for our people. Not only that, I just mentioned yesterday, Japan doing $1 trillion deal for LNG with America. That's not just LNG. It's a bunch of stuff, including LNG, but this one is an LNG deal. This is a lot of money that should have been going to Canada. This country has to suffer before the elbows up people learn there are consequences to voting like an idiot. I guess liberal Canadians haven't learned that lesson yet. Got this one here from Table Salt. Says the government of Newfoundland and Labrador's own statistics indicate roughly 23,000 hectares burn every year. We're currently at 10,000, as in less than half. Yet the news media is spiraling. It is more important that we remain rational. This is where facts matter. Facts do matter. Moving ahead here, we got this from conservative Dan Mazier. This is absolute bombshell stuff. Conservatives are calling for an investigation into foreign corporations cashing in on Canadians' blood. Now, I don't know if I can say this word on the channel, so I'm going to say it once and then I'm going to call it red stuff from now on. The Globe and Mail reports that Spanish Follis is selling products made with plasma obtained from Canadian red stuff donations, despite Canadian red stuff services promising that nothing will be sold offshore. Now we've uncovered that Brookfield Asset Management has been aggressively trying to buy Grifols over the last year. Carney is personally invested in Brookfield and could personally profit if a takeover goes through. Canadians' red stuff donations should save lives here, not line pockets of foreign corporations or the
This is so frustrating because I'm on Starlink now, and I should not be having any issues like this.
She tried to convince me the whole time.
It's a bunch of stuff, including LNG, but this one is an LNG deal. This is a lot of money that should have been going to Canada. This country has to suffer before the elbows up people learn there are consequences to voting Government of Newfoundland and Labrador's own statistics indicate roughly 23,000 hectares burn every year. We're currently at 10,000, as in less than half. Yet the news media is spiraling. It is more important that we remain rational. This is where facts matter. Facts do matter. Moving ahead here, we got this from conservative Dan Mazier. This is absolute bombshell stuff. Conservatives are calling for an investigation into foreign corporations cashing in on Canadians' blood. Now, I don't know if I can say this word on the channel, so I'm going to say it once and then I'm going to call it red stuff from now on. The Globe and Mail reports that Spanish Folis is selling products made with plasma obtained from Canadian red stuff donations, despite Canadian red stuff services promising that nothing will be sold offshore. Now we've uncovered that Brookfield Asset Management has been aggressively trying to buy Grifols over the last year. Carney is personally invested in Brookfield and could personally profit if a takeover goes through. Canadians' red stuff donations should save lives here, not line pockets of foreign corporations or the Prime Minister. This is quite literally blood money. Conservatives are demanding that Health Committee launch an immediate investigation. This is disgusting. How far down does this go? You can't make this stuff up. This was not on the bingo card. So this is mentioning here, Brookfield made a multi-billion-dollar takeover bid for the company in late 2024 and again reported to be in contact with shareholders regarding the acquisition in April 2025. Even if no acquisition had been reached to date, the pattern signals Brookfield's ongoing desire to take control of a firm profiting from Canadian red stuff donations. Given Mark Carney's significant personal investments in Brookfield, we are concerned about Prime Minister's potential financial conflicts of interest. He can't be invested in all these companies and be Prime Minister. He has to sell them or he has to be thrown out. This should be broadcast across the country about how unbelievably corrupt this is. This is rampant conflict of interest, not just this one, all of them. Mark Carney has so many investments, he should be recused from having any meetings with anyone regarding basically anything. Funny, this person tagging me here. Here's another Brookfields for the Board of Fame. Yeah, so I will add this to the board. Everything, I mean everything in Canada is for sale except our oil. This is the red stuff straight out of our veins. Brookfield wants that too. Interesting, just got an email from Canadian Blood Services wanting my O negative blood. Thought it was odd to get an email about them, about my blood type. There's a constant need for O negative blood donors. One more reason to no longer donate. This is what's happening. We're seeing people not want to donate to food banks, and now we've got, the red services, people not wanting to donate there. This is destroying our culture. This corruption in the government and everything they're doing is just eroding and destroying everything we've built up since this country was founded. Yep. This is crazy.
And they're exploiting childcare. So it's not even just with like these forced inoculations before the age of 18, all of these inoculations. Big Pharma doesn't care. They don't care about the health and safety of our children, believe it. Surprising. C-sections, placentas, stem cell, all these rabbit holes I've talked about.
But am I surprised? Just stop now. Even our blood has a price. I guess we're going to find out if I can say that word or not. I donated over 30 times, and this is what I find out. Never again am I going to donate. No, thank you. This is awful because there's people who need this, but when you betray the people, that's it. The trust is gone. And the Liberals will come out and say, trust us. We know everyone else is wrong, but we're right. We know everything. That's what they always do. It's arrogance. Trust us. We know what we're doing. Don't worry. This is good for Canadians. Carney needs to step down. What the heck? This is for real? Next up, we got a story coming from Nova Scotia here, where apparently the government is now interested in the uranium on this guy's land.
Fraser Buddy Hebb is firmly against uranium mining in Nova Scotia, especially on land he owns. That's why he's concerned by a phone call he received Thursday night from his MLA for West Hants, Melissa Sheehy-Richard. Hebb says the province was seeking his approval to use his private road to see what's there.
She said they had their own department and their own geologist that was going to come and do this for the government.
Back in the 70s and 80s, this area of West Hants was flagged as being rich in uranium deposits. At one time, Heb worked for a mining company here that he says drilled and tested for uranium, but it was never fully mined. A provincial ban shut it down in 1981. The Houston government, however, lifted the uranium ban earlier this year and identified this area where Heb stands and 2 other locations in Lunenburg County and Antigonish County as uranium exploration sites. The province put out a call for bids, but no one applied. Heb's not budging either.
I was on the phone with her for damn near an hour, I would think. And she tried to convince me the whole time that this was going to happen, whether we liked it or not.
We reached out to West Ham.
It's wild. Like, we've got so many extremists that are working in government that don't give a shit about Canada, arguably, just based on what they're trying to implement and impose and what they're sharing on their social media, like all of that stuff. And there's so many better people, people, way more informed, that could easily take over these positions, and they get canceled, they get censored, they get shut out. It's a big club. We're not in it.
MLA Melissa Sheehy-Richard for comment, but didn't hear back by deadline. In a statement to CTV News, Premier Tim Houston said emotions are clearly running high and there's been a misunderstanding. The government of Nova Scotia has not requested access to this property owner's access road for any purpose. We're not going to open uranium mines unless it's an industry-led project, and at this time, industry has not expressed any interest.
So this guy basically saying they're going to come onto his property whether he likes it or not.
Tried to convince me the whole time that this was going to happen, whether we liked it or not.
It's almost like he doesn't have control over his own land. So this is a pretty complicated situation. I mean, you got Tim Houston opening this up earlier in the year. You got to think this guy, I mean, we saw the photo with him and Doug Ford at Chrystia Freeland's house. Are they all working this out in the background? He opens up uranium. We've got Brookfield, who has Westinghouse. Are they lining this up so there can be money made here? And this is complicated because we do need more nuclear power. Nuclear power has been proven to be the cleanest, the greenest, the most efficient. It's just the best source. That's what we should be doing. And I think it's fine if Westinghouse gets contracts and does work and builds nuclear power plants, but Mark Carney has to sell his interest in Brookfield. It's not fair that he profits off the own company he's invested in. Better yet, let's find another company to do it. So pretty suspicious that he opens this up. They're poking around this guy's property. This all lines up with when Mark Carney gets elected into office. Just because the government says they're not going to touch your land doesn't mean they're not going to touch your land. Next up, we've got Conservative Michelle Rempel-Garner announcing that Conservatives propose amending the criminal code after a spate of high-profile cases saw non-citizens being given softer sentences.
This is good news.
Canadians have to come first in Canada. We pay for everything.
Today I'm announcing that Conservatives will introduce legislation to amend the criminal code and restore the value of Canadian citizenship by ending the practice of judges considering a non-citizen's immigration status in sentencing. Since 2013, a Supreme Court ruling has permitted judges to consider immigration status when sentencing. This has been seen in several recent high-profile cases. For example, a permanent resident received a conditional sentence after being convicted of trying to purchase sexual services from a 15-year-old.
We don't need that culture in Canada. And if it's going to be used against us, we're going to impact his immigration status. Good. These are not the types of people that we want in Canada. Come on. And giving lighter sentences just because it might impact your immigration. Are you mad?
A stronger penalty would have hindered him and his wife from obtaining Canadian citizenship. Another non-citizen in Canada on
Why would we want someone like that in our country? Deport immediately.
a visitor's permit was convicted twice of groping an 18-year-old woman's at a bar, yet received a discharge to avoid a permanent criminal record and to allow for an appeal of their deportation.
Immediate deportation or 10 years in jail, hard manual labor. Something has to happen. Not, we'll give you a lighter sentence because you don't want to hurt your record. What?
Anyone seeking residence or citizenship in Canada has responsibilities as well as rights. Yeah. When it comes to sentencing non-citizens, Canada has essentially adopted a form of two-tier justice where judges can and have given lighter sentences to individuals who are non-citizens by virtue of this ruling.
These judges are traitors to Canada. Let's just call it as it is. You have such heinous things happening and they give lighter sentences because these people are from overseas and it'll hurt their chances of becoming Canadian citizen.
Yeah, and these are the people that are not exposed to the threats of certain people who immigrate here that are not, who are criminals or exploiting the system, etc. Like they're in their entitled little gated communities. They've never hurt for anything their entire life. They've never been at danger or at risk of being robbed or mugged or house broken into or groped or any of this stuff. Or their kids, or they don't have kids and they don't care.
The heck?
This offends all principles of fairness that should be foundational to our justice system. This is why once the House of Commons resumes this fall, Conservatives will introduce legislation to amend the criminal code to rectify this issue. Our bill will add a section after section 718.202 of the criminal code, which will expressly outline that any potential impact of a sentence on the immigration status of a convicted non-citizen offender or that of their family members should not be taken into consideration by a judge when issuing a sentence.
The Liberals have put in this system just the way they like it, where it favors non-citizens. Everything is for the non-citizens. Canadians pay for everything, but it's all for the people they're bringing in. Background checks, don't need those anymore. Bring in all the goblins and goons. Let's get as much crime in this country as possible. Yep. Non-citizens.
And I know people that work for CBSA or did work for CBSA and got kicked out during COVID because they didn't want to get vaccinated and they didn't want to toe the party line at the borders. And they say the same thing. Multiple people that are coming in that are actual criminals, convicted criminals, not even just one offense, some with multiple offenses and even war crimes and crimes against humanity, and they are allowed in.
Citizens who commit crimes should be sent home immediately. It depends on the crime.
And just to be clear too, because like even with the illegal immigration or people here and their visas have expired and they're here, these are crimes. And if any Canadian or American went to any other country illegally, entered illegally, or were there with expired visas, we would be at risk of being jailed in those countries, deport at a minimum, but jail time, charges, all of these things. And people think for some reason that that this shouldn't be like the same ramifications or repercussions in Western countries. No, just allow anyone to come in. Anyway, this two-tier justice system and rules for thee, not for me, blows my mind still.
Those guys who drag that father under the car, no. They don't get to go home. They have to go into a facility where they work their butts off for the next 40 years and they pay to the family, to the wife, the mother who doesn't have that father figure anymore. They have to pay for their sins against us. They don't get to just go home and be free of responsibility what they did. There's a guy in the comment section here, look at this, making these photos with these people, just one after the other. With the addition of the new canola tariffs on canola seed, 75% from China, there's starting to be some talk about this in the media. Mark Carney hasn't put any countermeasures. He hasn't helped out the industry, basically neglected the situation because he's not going to negotiate with China. Doesn't want to rock the boat there with his good business buddy, Xi Jinping. Got this post saying the number of people who work in the Canadian automotive industry, 177,000. Number of people in canola industry, 200,000. Liberals bending over backwards to protect autos from tariffs, including slapping 100% tariff on Chinese EVs when Canada doesn't even build any EVs. You have a whole bunch of companies that went bust and broke building parts for EVs. They're tariffing Chinese EVs and destroying our own canola industry. As this guy mentions, help the agriculture zip. Why? Because Canada's automotive industry is centralized in Ontario while canola industry is centralized in the prairies. And the Liberals do not care about Western Canadians.
In 2024, Canada exported $5 billion of canola to China. To justify its actions, China said that after conducting an investigation, it found that Canada was providing its farmers with unfair subsidies. This escalation has its roots in the former Liberal government's decision to impose tariffs on electric vehicles.
We will be introducing a 100% tariff on Chinese-made electric vehicles.
The previous government in Ottawa had done this to align its policy on China with that of Washington, but we didn't get any brownie points.
The canola industry generates more than $40 billion annually and employs 200,000 people. Saskatchewan's premier says that's bigger than the steel, aluminum, and auto industry combined.
Canola producers hit with these Chinese tariffs, I would say that they deserve the same attention by our federal government and our prime minister as we're seeing in in other industries.
Carney doesn't care, though. He's not going to rock the boat with Xi Jinping. That's the problem. Xi Jinping and the CCP helped campaign for Mark Carney. This is not speculation. This is fact. This happened. So he's not going to rock the boat with the same group that he's making a lot of money with, the same people that supported him in the election.
Canola oil is not even that healthy for people. Like, we should be going more, like, especially for cooking, to back to beef tallow, which used to be even in fast food chains, even in the 90s. And then they switched to these cheaper oils that are causing a lot of health issues. They're the carcinogenic, etc. They cause metabolic issues, neurological issues, etc.
Chinese EVs are so far ahead of North American EVs, it's not even funny. That's why the Liberals tariffed them at 100% to protect the $50 billion they invested in EV batteries that will be obsolete in a year. And it was those tariffs that led China hitting canola. China has dumped so much money into the EV industry. Their stuff is really advanced. They have chairs you can sit in the back seat of a vehicle that will rotate, so it's easier for you to get in the chair, and then the chair will move and rotate it into position to sit in the vehicle. Just ridiculous stuff like that. They're trying to copy Elon Musk, Western producers, yada, yada. This is decimating Western Canada's economy here, and Mark Carney does nothing. The needed money will come from the equity in your home. Ooh. Don't tempt them. They may just go there. I hear the printing press is working overtime at the Bank of Canada right now. Canada is bankrupt. Home equity tax incoming. Got this one from conservative Ryan Williams, says breaking Q1 2025 GDP numbers are in. The US is still climbing up again in Q1. Canada has been flat for years. And that's what we see. We're just absolutely flat. America's GDP still climbing. The question is now, there's a little tiny dip here. Is America going
to... the United States is in blue and Canada is in orange. 2020. What did I friggin' say?
Be going
and
down.
I was one of the businesses that was destroyed because of the SRDTs, the hostile environment awareness training I was doing, use of force, advanced driving, advanced shooting, etc. You all need to do these in person. It needs to be in person.
Will Trump's tariff plan work out, or is he going to start cratering the American economy with it? It'll be interesting to see how this plays out.
General Motors shares T-boned by tariffs. The stock is diving several percentage points here, 7+% after the auto giant reported a 32% slump in quarterly profits due to a $1.1 billion hit from the tariffs, which GM says will actually worsen in the current quarter.
Big gamble. What's going to happen? So this is an interesting graph showing the huge bump it got, and now it's going back down. But if we look at that, that is just from today. So we go 1 year, we can see that the market has gone down, and actually it's going back up right now. So in the short term, GM's kind of getting hammered, but how will this play out? I don't know. Move ahead here, CBC Watcher, with this one. We've got, once again, as always, Kate Harrison dropping a truth bomb on the CBC.
Assuming that Pierre Poilievre wins the by-election, are you anticipating a different tone that Pierre Poilievre took with Justin Trudeau versus Mark Carney when it comes to the Canada-U.S. relations, when it comes to trying to reach a trade deal? Are you expecting there to be perhaps a different tone there, because these are two very different relationships?
Yeah, I think that that's already been signaled in some ways. You know, you saw the federal Conservatives back some of the proposals that the Liberals put forward in the brief time that we were in the House. But I don't expect the role of the official opposition to change fundamentally. They are there to hold the government to account. They are there to point out some of the realities that we face on tariffs and trade. I also think that they're doing a good and important job of reminding Canadians of the many other issues that are on the table. And, you know, I would expect that the Premier, when he sits down with the Prime Minister next week, is not hopefully talking just about trade and tariffs. Hopefully he's talking about housing starts being abysmal per the reporting that just happened before. Hopefully he's talking about youth unemployment being at a 25-year high. Hopefully he's talking about the lines at food banks being increasingly long. Like, there are many other systemic issues in this country that Canadians are grappling with, that they were grappling with before the tariff trade dispute, that they're continuing to grapple with now. And so I would expect that the Premier of Ontario is bringing that forward to the Prime Minister, and the official opposition certainly will come the fall session.
Doug Ford's not going to remind Carney of anything. Doug Ford is good friends with Mark Carney. His good buddy. They're going to hang out in Muskoka, have a glass of wine. Is Doug Ford going to bring up this V-word crime rate in Canada from 2002 to 2023? This being the inflection point of the Liberals winning, Justin Trudeau getting into power. It's only got worse. With all the crime going on in Canada, what do we see coming from the Vancouver police today? This is so tone deaf.
So these lots of guys that are running. Hey, bud.
Hey, excuse me. Excuse me.
So friggin' annoying. This guy is scuttling, and he still has like 2 seconds left to make it. Like, and so many people do that. I've done it as well. Like, you don't get a lot of time to cross roads anymore, and like, there's so much crime in Canada right now. Even stuff that I've tried to report, and it went unlooked at, uninvestigated. Yeah, they have time to do this.
Hi, it's the police. How are you? A lot of the pedestrians don't realize they're supposed to only step off when it's that. Yeah. And they start the running thing. Yeah. So next time, just wait for the light for me, okay? Okay. Hey, how you doing? Hi, it's Vancouver Police. I'm just doing some education. You stepped off when we were here when the numbers were going onto the street.
Buzz off. This is so dumb. Go catch some criminals.
I work with cops, incredible people, and I have in the past as well. And so it's not slamming police, but it's specific individual clowns like this that are destroying the reputation and the respect of cops. Brenda Lucky, head of the RCMP, she damaged so significantly the reputation of the RCMP. So many people that were ERT or higher level RCMP experts would even reach out to me and with so many frustrations about Brenda Lucky being a woke DEI hire, not deserving of the job, being the head of the RCMP, especially during COVID. And then we have Jenny Carignan, who's the chief of defense staff, a woke DEI hire, a coward, incompetent. She has not held the positions that she should have held in order to even be the chief of defense staff. And again, pushing woke DEI agendas instead of actually getting a grip of the Canadian Armed Forces, weakened it from within. And it's just frustrating that, like, again, even the other day, people were like sharing information, making fun of her. So even within the Canadian Armed Forces, a lack of respect because of clowns like this that hold key positions and jobs, and they use their authority against their own.
Literally have R-word people running around the streets, attacking women, foreigners dragging fathers under their cars and ending them. And these guys are educating people about crossing the street. Go do your job. This is disgraceful.
So it's for your safety, but it's also to keep the traffic moving, and cars can't turn because they're waiting for you. And it's on every sign.
They're not waiting when the numbers are still going down. It's still a red light. It's when the numbers go, when there's no more numbers, obviously, when it goes to 0 and then stops for the crosswalk, that's when the lights turn. Like this, anyway.
It's on every pole. Okay. You already know because I can tell you're laughing. We're just trying to keep you safe. Nobody's in trouble.
They're laughing because this is dumb. You guys need to go catch the gangsters that are taking people out.
Thank you.
Enjoy your stay.
Okay.
You have dinosaurs?
And I get it. Even if they catch the gangsters, they can't charge them because the Liberals. Then maybe they should be protesting the government to change the laws. They should do something other than this.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Fair enough. Thanks for your comment. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
This is the dumbest use of police force ever. The guy who got paid to tell people how to cross the street, what a waste of time and energy. The difference is regular people are likely to comply, while the street candy addicts and car thieves don't. I've seen you guys go through an entire ticket book in just 1 hour just handing out these jaywalking tickets.
Just get a friggin' life. Jaywalking tickets. Oh my God. This stuff fires me up. Not really. I mean, when I'm doing the videos, yes, but I try not to let the stuff like get to me, in my regular day. So anyway, so this is the In Carol video I wanted to share before because it says a lot of the same information that I've been sharing for years in it. So this is just like an affirmation.
Because this is where we kind of crush the typical Blackrock conspiracy theories that you've probably seen all over YouTube and Reddit and wherever else. This is where the finance bros are all screaming that BlackRock doesn't actually own the shares, and that's kind of correct. But let's start by just meeting the big three.
Conspiracy theories are dangerous. Information is the oxygen of the democracy.
It's so secret we can't talk.
Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. Although State Street is actually owned by BlackRock now, so it's kind of awkward. But anyways, these guys are investment management firms, and you probably are invested with them. At least if you're old enough and well off enough to have any sort of retirement account or investment savings account or anything like that. Maybe if you dabble in buying ETFs or index funds or the like, the big three mostly manage other people's money for them. They invested across wide sweeping portfolios of stocks to just like minimize risk and make your wealth grow slowly over time without, losing it all. Vanguard pioneered this mutual fund model decades ago, and then BlackRock elevated it with popularization of index and exchange traded funds. So now you buy a share of, let's say, I don't know, BlackRock's Voltron 3000 fund or whatever. I just made that up. BlackRock's Voltron 3000 fund has a whole bunch of shares of 3,000 different companies all across the markets in its portfolio. And you have a tiny little slice of that portfolio and of its profit or loss, right? So because your risk is now spread out across 3,000 different stocks, you're not going to lose it all when Circuit City goes bankrupt because you thought it was going to go to the moon. But you also won't get rich when GameStop does go to the moon. So, whatever. They don't really want you getting rich anyways. So it's true, though. Most of the money that the big three manage is not their own money. Most of it is actually our retirement accounts, like trillions of dollars of our retirement accounts. So all the halfwits out there that just accept what they're told in business school as like gospel fact think, oh, nothing to see here. It's all good, bro. BlackRock doesn't actually own any of these companies. They're just holding it for us. Like, right? Sort of. You can look this up for yourself. It's not hard to figure out when you buy a share of a mutual fund or an index fund or an exchange traded fund, all the types of products that the big three are selling, you sign over your voting rights to the fund managers.
That's true.
To BlackRock. Sure, they are managing your money, but they are also managing your voting power. You are now a beneficial owner of a share of their fund, not the underlying shares of the corporations they are investing in on your behalf. And so, when we say that BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street own 42% of all the shares in the top 100 companies on the market, that means that they control 42% of the voting power. Add in their buddies, and the top 25 financial institutions control 83% of the voting power. That means they control all of these companies. They pick the boards of directors. They pick the policies. They decide how things are going to run, when companies will do share buybacks or dividends, all the rest of it. Obviously, they're not all powerful, but by the rules of their own game, they've basically got it all locked down. And perhaps most subtle and sinister of all, this changes the nature of capitalism in a fundamental way. Because fiduciary duty is a legal term binding these companies and their chief officers to act in the best interest of their shareholders. And honestly, this makes perfect sense. The whole point of a public company is that this company serves our whole community or country or state or whatever it is, and we can all buy into it and have a say in how it's run. And in exchange for taking our investment money, they have a duty to do what's best for us, the investors. But that's not how the world works today.
And they don't care about societal outcomes. They care about profits, not about people, not about resources, not about where the resources are being acquired and the damage to the environment.
We are not the investors that they are beholden to.
BlackRock, these are essentially like they work with military contractors. They are military contractors, government contractors, whatever you want to call them. And even when Zelensky had his meeting in the U.S. with Trump several months ago, you've got Larry Fink, this fucking clown, not an elitist, just unfortunately a lot of money, but he was right there after that meeting to talk to Zelensky, and so are the other profiteers.
Anymore. Now,
and look how much they own in, or what they want to acquire with what's going on with Ukraine, with Gaza, the U.S., Canada,
all of these companies,
the mines, the resources they've acquired, contracts they've acquired, lithium, nuclear.
Fiduciary duty is to the bankers and the fund managers and the Larry Finks of this world. They are legally bound to do what is best for them, not for you. And if it's best for them to sell baby food with 177 times the legal amount of lead in it, well, they're going to do it. If it's best for them to sell you untested pharmaceutical products, then they're going to do it. If they'll make more money filling the food with drugs and poisons, not only are they going to do it, they are legally obligated to. It's their fiduciary duty, and they can actually be fired if they don't. But now, real quick, we cannot talk about BlackRock without also mentioning the genie in the bottle. Larry Fink's financial supercomputer, Aladdin. So
I've had again, I keep saying I've had, but it's just, again, to just put credibility out there for anyone that's within government, especially the Canadian government that's watching this, because NATO and people at the highest levels of our government, we are not trusted anymore. You are not trusted anymore internationally, including NATO And the Five Eyes community, this is like not even me saying this, this is the US saying this and other countries that are saying this and have more influence in Canada, that we are not able to be trusted, or they don't even want to give information to us, intelligence, etc., because we're corrupt and we're very ignorant as to what's going on at these levels. And so this stuff is getting out there because there's people within Canada that have worked with the government, still have top secret government clearance, etc., incorporated, that are sharing the information and giving people warnings about this. And I've tried to, again, communicate this with people within the government. I've had multiple meetings over the years, even with Aladdin. In 2020, I was sharing information about Aladdin. I have witnesses that I can't name, but where I was saying, like, this is significant. We need to look into this. Because of biodigital convergence, because of massive surveillance, because of who owns Aladdin, and just the ramifications in the of Aladdin. Over 5 years on the record, I've been talking about this company.
Aladdin stands for Asset, Liability, and Debt and Derivative Investment Network. He just wanted a cool name. And it is one of the oldest financial computer systems and artificial intelligence systems on the planet. It began all the way back in 1988 as mostly
Does Larry Fink do business with? Oh my goodness, it's such a Palantir, Pegasus. Anyway, you all know that.
Pipe dream. Larry Fink's vision for how computing could revolutionize financial markets. And oh boy, was he right. So Aladdin is sort of a supercomputer that monitors billions and billions of trades and assets and investments across global markets and constantly is assessing and reassessing risk. It's more often used to monitor risk on a portfolio of assets rather than to actually like trade in the market, but its use cases are vast and ever expanding. Aladdin is the largest AI system operating the financial markets today by a wide margin, at least as best as I can understand, but there isn't a lot of oversight or reporting on the topic, so I'm not really sure that we would even know if the CIA or someone else had some other supercomputer running behind the scenes. But Aladdin is the biggest that we know of right now. Because it's not just Blackrock that uses Aladdin. Although BlackRock does sport somewhere in the ballpark of $11 trillion worth of assets of its own that Aladdin helps oversee. All the way back in 2000, they started selling Aladdin's services to other firms. And because BlackRock does not publicly disclose its client lists either, no one really knows exactly how much of the market Aladdin monitors and manages. But in 2020, the Financial Times produced one of the most substantial reports to date about the platform and reported that, quote, Vanguard and State Street Global Advisors, the largest fund managers after BlackRock, are users, as are half of the top 10 insurers by assets, as well as Japan's $1.5 trillion government pension fund, the world's largest, Apple, Microsoft, and Google's parent firm Alphabet, the three biggest U.S. public companies, all rely on the system to steward hundreds of billions of dollars in their corporate treasury investment portfolios. The report claimed that only counting 1/3 of Aladdin's 240 clients, just those clients represented a balance sheet of $21.6 trillion in assets under management. The entire GDP of the United States is only about $27 trillion. So if just 1/3 of Aladdin's clients represent $21 trillion, like one can only assume that Aladdin is overseeing somewhere in the ballpark of $50 to $60 trillion of assets across most of the world's biggest banks and financial institutions and public companies and, oh yeah, and the government. A lot of people don't know that BlackRock is in the government bailout business. All the way back in 2008, the Federal Reserve came to them. Well, it came to Larry Fink specifically because he had kind of invented the whole mortgage-backed security thing that was destroying the entire global financial system, but it's a little more complicated than that. It's a long story, another day. So anyways, the Fed back in 2008 goes to Larry and asks him to help them out with his supercomputer Aladdin and tell them how to spend all of our taxpayer bailout money that we never voted to give to them. And then Aladdin distributed it to all of Larry's buddies and whatnot and saved the world. Such a great guy. I'm sure that Aladdin was entirely impartial and that those bailouts didn't directly benefit BlackRock in any particular way. At least, I hope not, because the Fed went back to Larry in 2020 when the coronavirus hit, and they asked Larry and his boy Aladdin to help fix the markets again. So BlackRock, who sells all sorts of financial products like shares of exchange-traded funds that they manage, advised the government on how to invest billions of dollars of COVID bailout money. But I am sure, of course, again, that there was no conflict of interest there at all. It's all good. Aladdin, it's worth noting, is just one of the AI agents currently acting upon and determining how vast swaths of the market will trend and function. There are hundreds, thousands of other bots and AI algorithms and Palantir black magic, you name it. The market has not been entirely or even mostly human in a long time. But anyways, bit of a tangent about robots taking over the world. So to summarize so far, BlackRock is one of the biggest money managers in the world. They invest other people's money by making these various funds that you buy into, and they hold the stocks for everyone. But then they wind up holding so much of the stock of the whole market that they have the biggest share of vote at every corporate election all across all of the biggest American businesses. Because
banks, retirement investment companies, like JP Morgan, for example, uses Aladdin. Like there's so many like the California banking systems. Like
remember, they vote pretty much all the shares that they manage. That includes trillions of dollars of all of America's retirement accounts that get invested in these funds. That's all of regular America's shared saved wealth. All the bottom 95% of us, or whatever number. And whereas that percentage of the capital in the American markets is supposed to be representing us and our interests, it winds up representing Larry and his buddies and their agendas for the markets and for their bank accounts. And Larry is well known for his policy of pushing markets and companies to make changes that he wants. He spent a good chunk of the last decade pushing everyone towards versions of ESG and DEI in very overt and real ways.
You now make a point of that's an investment criteria for you.
Well, behaviors are going to have to change, and this is one thing we're asking companies. You have to force behaviors, and at BlackRock we are forcing behaviors. 54% of the incoming class are women.
Vanguard and State Street also use Aladdin, just to be clear.
We added 4 more points in terms of diverse employment this year, and what we're doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted. Okay,
we're doing the same thing.
And so it's just you have to force behaviors, and if you don't force behaviors, whether it's gender or race or just any way you want to say the composition of your team, you're going to be impacted. And that's not recruiting, it is development, as Ken said. And ultimately, it's still going to take time, but I am just as much shocked as Ken is that we have not seen.
Oh, and by the way, the top three top institutional shareholders. So for Pfizer, so Pfizer is a pharmaceutical and biotechnology company that developed a COVID-19 vaccine, not a vaccine, that was approved by the FDA in August 2021. That's actually incorrect. It was not approved. It was authorized under emergency use, even in 2022 and 2023, at least early in 2023. Correct me if I'm wrong, but at least 2022 because I was sharing the actual data on it. Authorized under emergency use, was not approved in 2021, especially August 2021. So again, fake news. But anyways, the 3 top institutional shareholders are Vanguard Group, BlackRock, and State Street for Pfizer. Interesting.
More opportunities, and we're going to have to force change.
So that's how Larry feels about his seat at the top of the markets and the power that he wields. And he was the champion of ESG and of DEI for the last 10 years. And that was what he was talking about. He was talking about forcing companies to be more DEI, just using his share voting rights as leverage.
She's brainwashed.
Or your compensation or even your job might change, right? Because BlackRock votes all of those shares in Larry's and his advisors and friends and allies' interests, every executive knows that they likely only have a job if they go along with Larry's broader agenda. Otherwise, he and his buddies can easily just team up and kick you out of the club. And that's how you get to a big club that you are not in. And when you start mapping out the club, as in mapping out the board of directors of each of these companies, you start to notice some patterns. You start to notice connections. Mostly, you just start learning a lot of wild stuff about how the world really works.
Costco, which was open during the pandemic, despite the fact that there was a lot of family businesses and corporations, et cetera, that were completely destabilized. So Costco is mainly owned by institutional investors who own over 70% of shares. The largest shareholders as of September of 2024 are the Vanguard Group and Blackrock.
Take, for example, the board of BlackRock. This map actually hasn't been updated since
McDonald's,
last year. They added Bill Demchak, who is a triathlete. And it actually sounds pretty cool, honestly. He comes from PNC, which is a gigantic bank, and he recruited from his employees for an Ironman triathlon
Kirkland.
team. Granted, that was like 10 years ago now. All the articles about it are behind paywalls that I'm not paying for, but that's dope, you know. Nice job for not being a lazy millionaire, bro. They also added Adebayo Ogunlesi. Adebayo Ogunlesi. Sorry, bro, about your name. I mean about me pronouncing it. I don't know much of anything about him yet, obviously. Haven't done the dive, but I can't help but notice that he came from Credit Suisse First Boston. And if you don't know what happened to Credit Suisse and how a chain reaction from the GameStop squeeze rippled all the way up to collapsing one of the world's most important banks and nearly toppling the whole global system, wild rabbit hole. Look up what happened at Archegos Capital Management. But anyways, that's Adebayo. The rest of this web is pretty interesting, and they are all current. This is the hottest booth in the club. This is like that front row, poppin' champagne, billionaire lifestyles club. Whatever things they want, they got it. This table is one of the most influential in the world. There's plenty of other tables out there with plenty of sleazy billionaires sitting at them, but this one is not far from the top, I would reckon. On the left, in a straight row, you have Susan Wagner, Rob Capito, and Larry Fink, 3 of the 5 original founders. Bottom left, a little cluster that includes Marco Antonio Slim Domit, the son of Carlos Slim, the richest man in Mexico. I'm sure that relationship comes with all sorts of interesting connections and influences and exchange of favors behind the scene between Larry Fink and BlackRock, its other board members, and the Slim family. After all, who do you think really runs Mexico? Do you think it's their elected leader or the super rich banker? And I'm just throwing out a wild guess here, but I would assume that the richest banker in Mexico probably knows a thing or two about the cartels and all sorts of other powerful people down there. Just pure speculation.
I'm just going to move ahead here.
The Rothschilds have a good bit of history with the Louders. Both also have a good deal of old history with various aspects of organized crime in America, and obviously countless lifelong connections to the state of Israel. Whitney Webb authored a really good article that you can find on Mint Press News about Ronald Lauder's various connections to and through the Mega Group, which is a very hush-hush group of Jewish billionaires that had numerous ties to Epstein. When you zoom out on the club, you start to see how many of these guys hop between and occupy multiple board positions at various companies in the club. All of these lines that are crisscrossing between the clusters are various places where someone is in 2 seats at once or more. And these are just among the relatively small number of companies that I've mapped out. The network of foundations and NGOs and corporations and colleges and nonprofits and everything else that these guys are climbing up through the ranks to put on their resume, the more I read about them, the more they just look like a ladder that everyone is climbing in their own personal way, trying to reach as high as possible towards some unattainable top of the game, which, to be fair, the board of BlackRock is pretty damn close to the top of that game, because I would imagine that there's a sort of natural capitalistic hierarchy to the various seats at the various tables in this club. Certain tables are more powerful or prestigious than others. Each man and woman scrabbling to be the most shrewd or the most efficient, the most triathletic, or whatever the hell you think is going to keep you in the club climbing upwards. And so, as you start to look around, you can't help but notice things like how the former CEO of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is on the board of Pfizer. And you read her bio real quick, and you might ask yourself, what is National Resilience Inc? I've never heard of that before. Must be important for the former CEO of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to be involved, right? And so you get curious and you look it up and you realize that you have just found the company that manufactured most of the RNA material for the COVID shots all throughout the pandemic. I'm not sure if they're still involved or not, but I am sure that the CEO of the CIA's investment firm called In-Q-Tel was on the board alongside Ol Sue, which is extremely interesting because that rather directly implies that the CIA was rather directly involved in this company and whatever it is that they were doing. They didn't just invest in this company, they put their own In-Q-Tel CEO on the board, along with Sue Hellman. And along with Sue Hellman, there are also Palantir and FDA connections on this board, actually. It's a whole rabbit hole, and the implications are far reaching and inspire a lot of interesting and sort of uncomfortable questions. You see, these are the kinds of things you start to notice and learn when you just start poking around in the club and learning stuff. Anyways, while we're at the board of Pfizer, both Pfizer and Resilience also have.
I'm going to stop sharing this and share Grok. Really friggin' annoying. Let's see what they say about this. But I asked it multiple times. Which companies use Aladdin? Top 20 companies and banks? Unable to finish. Which companies use Aladdin? Top 20 companies and banks? And I wasn't touching anything or asking other questions or anything like that. It was just not responding. Asked it again. Not responding. Asked it again. Not responding. Why are you not replying? Not responding. Again, I'm asking the same question. Not responding. No response to, because I was going to put test, no response, Whitney Webb. I wanted to see if there was anything that they were going to say about that. No response. So then I copied and pasted what I got from the internet, from a non-AI platform, the top 20 companies and banks using Aladdin, which I'll get into. And then now that I copy and paste the fucking answer, sorry for swearing, unnecessary. Now Grok, now it works. Stop for 24 seconds because again, it's just like spewing the information I had to give it. I'm supposed to be getting information. I pay like $40 a friggin' month to use Grok, which I'm going to cancel at this point because this is like, now it's reconnecting. Why didn't you answer my questions before I shared the data? Anyways, I'm going to get into this. CalPERS, California Public Employees Retirement System, pension fund managing $260 billion in assets. You've got the Deutsche Bank, approximately 900 billion euros, crazy amount of money in assets under management. Prudential PIC, about US 700 billion in assets. You've got the Bank of Israel, clients is around 2019, not giving them money, but we know it's in the friggin' billions. Vanguard, one of the major asset managers that uses Aladdin. State Street, Microsoft Corporate Treasury. Oh, I thought BlackRock and Microsoft were not enemies, but competitors. Reportedly uses Aladdin for its treasury operations. BNI Mellon serves as a custodian bank using Aladdin. You've got banking systems, like I've said, Wells Fargo, JP Morgan Chase, General Electric, Accenture, Deloitte, and a lot of these people go to the Bilderberg meetings as well. EY, Ernst & Young, Morgan Stanley, HSBC, Wells Fargo, duplicate but listed separately in sources. Google, SAP, Kexa Bank, Banca Privata, private banking division recently implemented Aladdin for risk management across 148 billion in assets. Cinco DS. Yep. So I don't know why Grok is not wanting to share that. Oh God, okay, so that was just a couple more I told you so's, not to people watching my channel, because if you have, then you know that I've been talking about this stuff for literally years. But so yesterday, like again, hearing about people talking about the blood donations and big pharma, like their involvement with that. Like I'm really happy that it's coming out now. Again, I've been sharing this for friggin' years, but that was good to hear. And then more people again taking a look at these AI tech companies and who they're involved and affiliated with. And it's a big club. And the other one that I wanted to talk about is, this was posted just 20 hours ago. Jimmy Dore, he's been groundbreaking with a lot of information. I'm talking about for mainstream, and Kurt Metzger as well. And anyways, I'm gonna let this play. It's only 6 minutes and 54 seconds.
I came across this video. It's from this guy. His account is Truthache. And this may be, there's a big payoff to this video. And if you're watching it as a standalone video, you probably saw the headline. So, spoiler alert, you know what it is. But there was this, well, here it is. I'll just show it to you.
Never underestimate the butterfly effect of a tiny public access show in upstate New York. Clay Tiffany was an independent journalist and the fearless host of Dirge for the Charlatans. Notorious for being a thorn in the side of local officials and law enforcement, Clay Tiffany would probe into corrupt politicians and dirty cops.
And he also had to grow his hair into a helmet to protect him.
From the beatings.
I stopped it when he's not there. Oh, Jesus.
Then broadcast his...
So there he is. Yeah, so there he is. Didn't this guy used to be on TV teaching us how to do oil paintings of landscapes?
I think that's actually Eric Weinstein.
Okay, watch.
Findings on his public access show. But with this fame came enemies in powerful places. One being Briarcliff police officer / bodybuilder Nicholas Tartaglione, who in 1997 pulled Clay Tiffany over, warned him to stop looking into the police department, said he has ties with the mob, then physically assaulted the TV host. Obviously, this led Clay to delve further into the cop, and so began a long-standing feud between the two. Tiffany dug into his past and found that Tartaglione had a history of assault in his time as a police officer. Clay Tiffany would slam him and the BPD on Dirge for the Charlatans, and in retaliation, Tartaglione would find him and beat him up. This happens at least 4 times, with the last confrontation putting Clay in the hospital. He would host the next episode from his hospital bed. Clay sued the police department, winning a big settlement, but Tartaglione was never charged or found guilty of a crime. Until this story goes somewhere I never could have predicted. Clay Tiffany passed away in March 2015 of natural causes, and the following year, Nicholas Tartaglione was arrested after killing 4 men over stolen drug money and burying them in a mass grave in the woods. Tartaglione, now facing a life sentence, has been behind bars since his arrest, where in 2019, he was the last person to share a prison cell with Jeffrey Epstein.
And I think now you know the rest of the story.
A chunk of it.
They never tell you who was his cellmate. They never tell you.
No, they said it was him, but I didn't know all this. This just came out recently, this background on it.
Oh, they did? You knew it was this guy Tagliatone?
Yeah, because they had pictures of him, the bodybuilder, next to his 2 dogs.
Oh, really?
He was in for murder. I knew that, but I didn't know the backstory.
So this is the perfect guy to get, because he's an ex-cop. He's committed murder. He's been caught for committing multiple murders.
Yeah.
And he's going to be in prison, seems like forever. So what a better guy to get to bump somebody off than a guy who's already used to bumping people off. Obviously is a sociopath, psychopath, probably. And he wants a little better treatment in jail. All right, we'll give it to you. Kill Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. They probably didn't even have to tell him who it was. Probably just said, we're going to put some guy in a cell with you, kill him.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we're gonna get you. We're gonna get you cigarettes.
Has anybody interviewed him in jail, or is he not allowed to talk to people?
I haven't heard anybody. And we're gonna get your cell phone. We're gonna get you chocolates. We're gonna we'll send you down to the nice prison.
Yeah.
How about the stuff like that? I'm sure I'm just speculating because that's all we have to do. But that is crazy that's who that guy was. So they put that, of course, and it's just so a literal billionaire could not get his own prison cell in New York. I mean, the rent has really gone crazy. I mean, it's nuts. I love the sense of equality that they have in prison. Where a top dollar dandy like Jeffrey Epstein can share a cell with a 2-bit crooked cop thug. That'd be a great comedy duo film. The Hitman and Mr. Dirty. I say Epstein's cellmate should start a podcast. Now again, I have no reason to doubt Mr. Truthache, his story about that guy, but Kurt has already validated that is the guy. He just didn't know the backstory.
Yeah, no, they've said the name of the cop that was in there with him.
Oh, okay.
And I think he was cleared of charges.
Of course. Just like he beat up that guy 4 times and he got a settlement for it, but no crime was charged on the cop.
Knew the backstory? Me? Again, I hate it because it makes it seem like I'm bragging. I'm not. I'm just I'm impressed. I guess I would say that even like people like Kurt Metzger and stuff like that, Ian Carroll, all these people that people are looking at as to the truthers in the truther community. It's like, well, late to the game, respectfully speaking, way late. How the hell do I not have millions of viewers? Probably because I don't have a good professional platform with producers and people assisting me with my videos or any of that stuff. And I'm always off the cuff. Anyways, I just wanted to share some of my videos. And so I just searched in for my content, Epstein. And so this was from 2 months ago. Did Epstein really kill himself? I get into so much information here with court records, with reports from even from psychologists, which also named Tartaglione. Tartaglione. I still don't know how to pronounce his name. And so again, a few months ago, just doing a huge deep dive into it again. And this is from over a year ago. Breaking news: Epstein Island Gate, small piece of the pie. PI. Steve Bannon and Epstein plus Lawrence Southern on Russian disinformation 8 months ago. Anyway, this because it has Epstein in it. And this again, it's the name is in the is in my title. So this was from 9 days ago. Nicholas Tartaglione, the Hudson Valley head case, former cop turned Epstein cellmate. Okay, some Friday night special Epstein list. This is from 2 months ago. Charlie Kirk is wrong. Again, he's right about a lot of things, so there's no hate or anything. Like I know that Nick Fuentes, he goes hard on Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Ian Carroll and PBD and others. There's a lot of good information that they share, and I've shared this on my platform, and I've discussed it because it reinforces things that I've been saying for years as well. But I also share information that I think that they get wrong, and I'm only doing this because they have such a huge amount of influence and power and connections, like even people as big as Elon Musk, which like basically makes people's careers. But anyway, and when they get things wrong, and it's really wrong, and it's also like kind of pushing an agenda that's like not going to be helping us and assisting with societal collapse, that's where I like to just put my opinion out there. And if they ever wanted to debate me, not even debate, I wouldn't even say debate, but just discuss this, even if it was like, again, not online, but just like a phone call, private chat or whatever, I would absolutely be willing to just communicate, share information that I have. And and just again, it's to get as close to the truth as we can get, because we are lied to about a lot of things. And a lot of people think that it's expected as well. And so I had a good conversation yesterday, a great person who I've worked with I had worked with for many, many years. And this person does have like security contracts, even with Jordan Peterson. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. And great human being. Again, I can't even stress that enough. And again, like just an amazing team that Jordan Peterson has as part of his detail. Like I know a few of the guys, incredible friggin' people, let me tell you. And but anyways, so there were discussions had yesterday because I was catching up with a lot of people. Just because I gave it a few years, I thought maybe they'd reach back out to me for contracts or for work or to catch up and things like that, but they hadn't. And so like now I'm going back, and anyway. And the conversation came up about Ukraine, because like we all know, like people that went to Ukraine to assist, 2022 and up to present day, even people that died or got injured or we were afraid were dead, because we hadn't heard from them in like weeks at a time and stuff like that. GoFundMe, created, which I shared and donated to get Josh Hildebrand back. He had a family, he died. Anyway, I'm going on all these tangents, but I was saying, yeah, we were lied. Like I'm like, I haven't talked to these specific people, since Ukraine days, because I was sharing information that when it went against what they were sharing, I was giving briefs and everything and reports to people. I'm saying like, look, and again, this is why I share this publicly, because to certain people that were going over to assist, including part of NATO and other organizations, they were not tracking what was actually going on. And people were dismissing it, saying, oh, everyone gets lied to, it's war. It's like, well, we shouldn't be lied to when there's war, especially people that have worked with the Five Eyes community or representing Canada within like a government capacity, or as contractors working in a government capacity, being hired as such. They should know the truth. So there should be no justification, because people were saying like, yeah, even embellishing the amount of people that were killed in Ukraine, the numbers can be very, very low. Pushing Ukraine's narrative, especially at the beginning. Or it could be like what other people are reporting, where it's hundreds of thousands, if not over 1 million people that have died now because of this proxy war. And then the Snake Island thing that happened, I'm like, like bros, like people didn't die like because they're like fuck Russia, blah blah blah, getting all pissed off, and you know, and it was misinformation. And then even with what happened in Poland with those 2 Polish farmers dying, this was Ukrainian air defense, and so I really do think that like. I don't like that people can justify or acknowledge it. Like, yeah, so people do lie in war, including social media influencers that are hired by the government in order to promote wars, even within their own countries. These are the fucking biggest traitors. I think, oh my goodness, it's just so diabolical to me. But I was even getting people that I knew in government that were representing, I would say the West or whatever you want to call it, but trying to assist in that war, that were reposting information that was coming from social media influencers that were paid liars. And I'm like, oh my goodness, like you can't. Like if you're a good person, and I know that if you knew that this was a lie, that you wouldn't repost this. And I know by reposting this, you know, it builds your ego. Oh, look at me, I'm here and I'm helping with this because of like what's going on with this, even though it's a lie. Like I don't know, it's just it's a lot of layers. But anyways, long story longer, I don't think that we should be lying about events that happen within war. War is hard enough. You don't need to kill people or put your life at risk in order to push bullshit. And again, it's only profiting the people that are part of the military, pharmaceutical, industrial tech complex at this point, the high up types, the ones that go to the ones that select the people to go to the Bilderberg meetings every single year, and Bohemian Grove. Those are just the steering committees, the gatekeepers, whatever you want to call them. So this is Epstein. I've already shared like what I was talking about regarding blood. Tartaglione. Fuck, I don't know how to say that name. Anyway, I think I've covered the big points here. But yeah, being lied to, like, so what? Like, that's what happens in war. Again, that frustrates me because even with 9/11, like, once you know better, you do better. In so many different ways, including with battle procedure and mission analysis and doing a combat estimate. Yeah, I do think that the truth about 9/11 is getting more and more out there on the mainstream. Like at the very least, this being controlled demolitions that made the towers fall. Talking more about Tower 7 and Larry Silverstein and insurance fraud and the Bush connections and things like that. Rumsfeld, what really happened at the Pentagon. Fuck, man. If people only knew that needed to know. And again, a lot of people that I talk to, like in society, a lot of people are tracking a lot more than people I talk to or listen to that are within our House of Commons. It's wild to me. Wild. Anyways, on that note, I will leave it at that, and I hope that everyone has a wonderful rest of your day.